Also breaking overseas, ships stuck behind the Strait of Hormuz for months now will have to stay put for a little bit longer. A United Nations agency is pausing its plans to evacuate the stranded ships after the U.S. said an Iranian drone hit a vessel just off the coast of Oman. A few tankers were able to make it through the strait this week, but Tehran says it will attack any ship that tries to pass without its approval. Now, crude oil back down to under $70 per barrel this morning, with prices continuing to fall after Iran struck a cargo ship in the Strait on Thursday. But all three of the major U.S. stock indices are falling ahead of this morning's opening bell, thanks to the chaos in the Strait and a major tech stock sell-off. For more, let me bring in Majid, Sadeghpour, political director for the Organizations of Iranian-American Communities. Good morning to you, sir, and as always, thank you for your time.
Of course.
So the IRGC just struck this. It's a Singapore flagged ship, off the Omani coast. It's called the Ever Lovely. What's your read on this, and what's the message that you think Tehran is trying to send?
Right. I think this attack needs to be taken a broader strategy for the regime and internal dynamics inside Iran. The regime has, for more than really 40 years, has relied on internal oppression, regional creating and instigating regional wars, and of course the nuclear weapons program to hold hostage the international policy making and decisions, and in order to remain in power. And then the second issue is really the current dynamics inside Iran. The regime needs a general environmental war. Within that environment, it has created revolutionary courts in Iran. It has created operations in the streets to curtail dissent and prevent another nationwide uprising. And really, that environment motivates it to continue to create and instigate issues that maintains this war even at the lower grade. We just came back from Paris. We just came back from Paris, France, attending a conference led by the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Is the president-elect during the conference mentioned something notable, and she said, peace, true regional peace, it's like a noose for the Ayatollahs in Iran at the current present moment, and that's very much the case. And unfortunately, as long as this regime is in power, you can expect the continuation of its strategies, repression, regional war, and pursuit of nuclear weaponry.
The MOU explicitly calls for the freedom of navigation through this corridor. So is this a violation of the ceasefire, and how should the United States respond?
Well, it is certainly a violation of that MOU. The regime in Iran will not adhere to any agreement it makes with the international community. Cessation of conflict in the region is a good news, and in line with what I said earlier, it actually is an impediment. If the war was to continue, it was a big impediment to change in Iran by the people of Iran. What is happening at the moment, unfortunately, is the free world is using this cessation of conflict in a process to appease the regime in Iran. Case in point is, just like I said a few days ago, hundreds of thousands of people were supposed to rally in Paris, France, where this rally against, by the way, the regime in Iran, and calling for support for the Iranian resistance, Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan. But this rally was unfortunately banned by the French authorities. Boris Johnson, who spoke at the conference, said this was really nothing but capitulation to the regime. That environment, by the way, the excuse they used to ban the rally was that the remnants of the former dictator Shah of Iran or the regime were going to bomb the rally, and there was terrorist threats. Really, but the main point is the appeasement at the center of this, and that really needs to end. What needs to occur now is expression of support for the Iranian people and their organized resistance.
And, Majid, President Trump has repeatedly claimed that the Strait of Hormuz is open, that Iran no longer controls it, including after Iranian troops fired on this cargo ship off the coast in the Strait of Hormuz. Take a listen to what the president said.
Iran, effectively, within a week and a half, we knocked out their entire military, their leadership. They want to make a deal with us very badly, and we probably will. I think we will, but the Strait is open.
Yeah, that one line in there, they want to make a deal with us very badly. I mean, we've heard the president reiterate that for 3.5, 4 months now. Iran doesn't really seem that eager to strike a deal. So what's the disconnect?
I think in this environment of no man's land is helpful for the regime. If you consider actual peace as a noose for the regime and its end, the regime will continue to instigate slight low-level conflicts so that it can distract from internal instability. The key question is not just that the regime is weak and that it can't control the Straits of Hormuz or can control the Straits of Hormuz. Those are tactical issues. The real issue, is there a force capable of turning public anger inside Iran into organized change within Iran by the Iranian people? And the answer to that is clearly yes. That is the MEK resistance units, that is the National Council of Resistance of Iran and its provisional government. These are the people who exposed Iran's nuclear weapons program in Natanz and other sites. These are the people who are paying the heavy price with executions in Iran that are occurring. Many of their members and supporters are being killed and persecuted. I think that heavy price, that sacrifice needs to be recognized and highlighted and then provided political support to. I think that is really what is our turning point, is a leverage that the Western world has not yet taken advantage of. We have gone into appeasement of the regime on one end and military conflict with the regime, but exploration of the middle, which is the 10-point plan by Maryam Rajavi, the supporting the Iranian resistance to overthrow this regime politically, or supporting them, has not yet been fully explored. And I think that's the next frontier.
Well, we'll see what the next 24, 48 hours has in store over the weekend. We know that the next round of technical talks is supposed to pick back up in Switzerland next week. And so a lot on the line here. We'll see where we are in just a few days' time. Majid Sadeghpour, thank you so much, as always, sir, for your expertise.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have you again soon.